Anaedo of Nnewi, honor and mercy. In the modern town of Nnewi, where satellite dishes share rooftops with woven palm shades and the palace sits between new shops and old red-earth paths, Princess Ngozi, called Anaedo in the old praise songs, was known for a laughing heart and a stubborn mind. She loved the palace garden most of all, the leaning mango, the pond where paper boats drifted, and the quiet corners where she could be simply Ngozi, not the future of a throne. When Ngozi was still young, the Igwe arranged a betrothal to strengthen an alliance. She was promised to Prince Ikenna of Onicha. The match made sense on paper, familiar families, neighboring towns, peace between markets. But Ikenna was not the kind of prince Ngozi had hoped for. Handsome and proud, he carried his title like armor. He laughed at small people's troubles, dismissed the palace cook's good food as for the unrefined, and once, when a gardener bowed to greet him, Ikenna smirked and asked if the man expected gold for breeding. He treated Queen Ozioma's counsel with thin patience and spoke to Ngozi as if she were a prize to be inspected. The queen saw the danger in the match. She watched Ikenna's arrogance like a slow poison through the garden gate, but the Igwe, his mind set on alliance, and history pressed on. She is Anaedo, he said. She will marry for the kingdom. Ngozi felt the knot of obligation tighten, and the palace hummed with preparations. Yet her heart moved another way. Obinna was a palace guard, handsome in a quiet way. He had the short shoulders of someone who stood up for people. He helped market women with heavy baskets, mended a child's torn shoe without asking for thanks, and treated every person as if their name mattered. In the garden, where Ngozi escaped the weight of titles, she found in Obinna something she had never seen in Ikenna: respect. He listened. He laughed at her worst jokes. He stood steady when she let her tears show. The small conversations about mangoes and rain grew into something deep. When the Igwe heard whispers of their closeness, he grew furious, for Ngozi was promised to Onicha. When Ngozi refused to accept Ikenna's pride as her future, he chose duty over his daughter's heart. Ikenna, expecting the bride as a finished thing, was offended at the delay and grew openly scornful of Obinna. The Igwe, who could not abide the palace guard daring to love a princess, gave his harshest sentence. Obinna was to be banished from Nnewi. That night, the palace gates closed behind Obinna like a slammed palm. He left the mango tree, the pond, and the woman who had become his center. Ngozi could not bear to watch him go. She packed a small bundle, two dresses, a book of poems, her mother's comb, and slipped out through the servants' gate. Under the patient moon, she went after him. They married quietly in Uragu, beneath a small sky, and with only a few neighbors to bless them. There was no crown, no Onitsha retinue, and Ikenna's arrogance grew. Obinna and Ngozi built a life together. He worked in the market and later drove for traders. She taught children to read under a palm and learned to bargain with the same fierce grace she once used. From their love came two children, Chioma curious, brave and little, Obi quiet and steady like his father. 5 years later, rich with small joys and hard-won dignity, Ngozi and Obinna returned to Nnewi with Chioma and Obi beside them. They walked beneath the mango tree where their story had begun. Word spread, and the old hurt fled in the Igwe's heart. Pride and old duty rose in him again. Ngozi's betrothal to Ikenna had been. The guards moved forward, polished boots catching the sunlight. Chioma clung to her mother's skirt. Obi stepped close to his father. Then Queen Ozioma, the woman who had once watched Ikenna's arrogance and known how to read a man, stepped out. She did not shout. She spoke instead, softly and firmly, stitching together the truth of what she had seen. Obinna's helpful hands in the market, Ngozi's work among widows, the children's manners taught at home, and how the people of Nnewi had come to trust this family who lived by humility and service. Is a kingdom only old bargains and hard words? She asked her husband. Or is it the people who love it and care for it? If Anaedo returns honest, if her children are taught to serve, does our honor not grow instead of shrink? Her words pulled at something inside the Igwe. He looked at his granddaughter, and for a long moment he saw beyond the rank and the old ledger of alliances. Pride softened. He breathed out, and to the surprise of the courtiers, the guards backed away. Let them stay, the Igwe said at last. They are home. So Ngozi and Obinna returned. Ikenna of Onicha faded from the story of the palace, his arrogance, a caution told. The people of Nnewi told the tale not as a triumph of rebellion, but as proof that love. Years passed. The Igwe grew older. The wrinkles of rule deepened. The kingdom changed, markets flourished, and the children of Ngozi learned not only to read. Obi, who had watched his grandfather rule and learned from his mother how to speak with the people, and from his father how to walk with honest hands, became a man the town trusted. He walked markets barefoot among traders more than he walked courts. And when a roof leaked or a stall needed help, Obi was there before any command. When the time came that the Igwe needed a steady heart to hold the throne, not by force, but by the consent of his people and the proof of character, the choice fell to Obi. He had not been born to a palace plot or to the arrogance of a prince, but he had the kind of steady care a kingdom needs. With the Igwe grown too old to rule, Obi took up the mantle, choosing not for birth alone, but for the work he had done, the trust he had earned, and the love he had been raised on. Under Obi's rule, the kingdom remembered the story of Anaedo and the palace guard whenever questions of pride and duty came up. They taught children that a wise ruler listens, that alliances matter but cannot be built on arrogance, and that a throne is safest when it is steady on the shoulders of those who have served others. And in the palace garden under the old mango, Ngozi and Obinna would sit and watch their. Queen Ozioma's quiet courage was spoken of at weddings and morning fires. The name Ikenna became a lesson about respect, and the life that began with a betrothal, almost lost to arrogance, ended with a lesson the town kept like collar knot at every gathering. Honor is kept best when it is paired with mercy.